Guys, Jeff with P Sports here. Going to show you a quick little video demo on how to assemble your Brozz 250. For those who already own one, it might give you a little bit of insight of how it's put together in case you ever need to take it apart. Here, so I'm about to grab one of these red ones because that's one I don't have in the showroom yet. We're going to grab one of these red ones and we are going to assemble it, and I'll do it for you as best I can. It's going to be my demo unit as I travel around from dealer to dealer and let them check it out. So if you're a dealer, by all means contact me. I'll put my contact info in the description, so check below. But otherwise, here we go. So if you ordered it retail wise, you're going to get it like this in a box. Take note, if it's coming retail or even wholesale, depending on where it's coming, I'm probably going to be taping the MSO or invoice or some kind of receipt to the top. Very, very rarely have I ever seen one of these damaged in shipment. Bashan, the company we buy these from, packages them very well. But if they do, I mean, just let us know and I will send out any damaged parts that arrive. So you're going to need a 13 millimeter and just undo the bottom bolts only. It's just 13, all 13. And that way you can lift up the entire top half of the cage by itself and start working on the bike. Now that you've undone all the bottom bolts, these top two are still attached to this frame. You'll undo these two middle ones. Okay, and we're just going to set this off to the side. Gotta do one right here. Don't forget about this guy right here. Oh, it's hand tight. Okay, that's good. Alright, shoot. This one's gonna have to come off because otherwise that's gonna scrape up the bike real nice. So that's out. Okay, so don't be afraid that the bike's gonna fall over because it is secured. The back is in the channel groove for the tire. The front still has a bolt going through the front mount. And as long as this bolt is here for the front axle, the bike's not flipping over. As you can see, some of these things are taped down. This is just covering the tank, so this is just taping the foam on. But you've got the headlight taped on up here. You've got, feels like the side fairing. Move all these pieces. It's going to be pretty open for you to begin working on the front end. A lot of tape. Just gotta get rid of it all. Most of it is just for protection. Obviously we don't want anything to be scratched upon you opening it. So Bashan does a pretty good job here of making sure nothing comes damaged. So if you come over here and if you open up your box, you see this. We don't need this because I'll send you a real one. You don't need that one. Here's your keys, your owner's manual. Here is the bulk of the hardware. And I'm making this video not because this is super difficult, but mainly to help people out with the hardware. Okay, and so we've got keys and owner's manual, your battery, your kickstand, your mirror set, shifter, foot peg lever. I don't even forgot what that's called. This is the support for the front fender. It goes above the wheel. This is also part of the support. They kind of work together, kind of like that, to screw into the triple tree. This is going to be a support bracket between both fairings, both of the side fairings by the fuel tank. You get a little tool kit which has almost all what you need to assemble this bike, pretty darn close. But I mean, they're very small tools, not the best tools. Definitely would recommend your own set like that when putting this together. Don't need anything fancy, just basic hand tools. These are your passenger foot pegs and your kit. This is one of the hardest things we're going to do here, is actually determining what goes where in that kit. Like I said, this is the MSO that comes with it. This is like your backup. You prefer to use the one that I send with it instead. Alright, so here's all the bolts in the package laid out. I'll go from left to right from what I remember off the top of my head. This is your rear shock bolt and nut. This is your kickstand bolt, nut, and I'm pretty sure I'm probably going to use that lock washer in the back. This is your main axle nut. The nut that comes with it right there is just for shipping purposes. This is your main one. These four right here are your these Allen heads. I think they're 6 or 8, something like that. They're gonna be for your passenger foot pegs. Here's your spacer for your axle, brake caliper side, handlebar top of the clamps, 4 bolts for the handlebar top of the clamps. This one right here is the top of the ignition cylinder. This will be the first thing you put on. These right here hold the ignition cylinder to the triple tree. There's 2 small These little guys don't remember. This set of 2 and 1, I don't remember. And these big 2, I don't remember either. But we'll get to it. Obviously, as we put the rest of this stuff on, this will cover right here. This. Most of this will be gone by the time we actually pull the bike off, so there won't be much left. So it'll be kind of self-explanatory after that. Alright, we're going to put on this little guy right here first. So we need the 2 bolts for it. And this thing just sits real nice like that. So now we got our 2 bolts. They both looks like they're about a little over an inch, maybe 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches in length. And we're gonna put a dab of blue Loctite on there. Okay, so here it is. Got your screws underneath, 1, 2. You just set them right on top. Okay, real easy. And then you take your 2 bolts. This is why we're doing this first, because obviously nothing has to be in the way. You're going to thread them up there. Whatever is snug for a 1/4 inch drive. That'll work fine. Yep, we're going to grab these 2 little guys, and we're going to bolt up this part right here. And like I said, torque spec, not as important for a part that probably will never come off unless someone's parting out the bike. So we're going to trust our blue Loctite to do a good job. We're just going to go whatever's hand tight. Alright, now when you're assembling the handlebars, the wiring is going to be very important on where you route stuff. I don't have anything it's just mocked up for right now. But just make sure you've got play and everything, nothing's too tight. Before you tighten down your handlebars, you will have to slide these guys on and off. At least slide them on. Once this is secure, you'll want to just dab these. You'll probably want to just dab these with some blue Loctite. Like I said, unless something happens, you probably shouldn't be taking off the handlebars too much. Probably not needed blue Loctite for this part, but it won't ever hurt nothing. And then if you're doing some rough riding, this will ensure that they're good. I need to adjust these in the future once you get the bike actually upright and sitting on it the right level. So probably don't need to tighten them down too hard just now. Just get them in there and get it snug so you can hold the handle a bit far down into a certain location. And no need to wrench to really torque them quite yet. These are pretty strong bolts. With that said, if you over tighten these in the strip, this is all one piece down here. This is all one piece down here, so you'll be replacing the triple tree clamp up top, and that actually will be a lot of work. If definitely don't over tighten these. That's why I'm saying use some thread locker, like the blue, and then torque to tighten it isn't as quite as if. So just so things aren't pinched under there, you see this one right here? I usually like pulling these and putting them around this thing right here so they're not pinched. Next up, we need to get this guy in position. Okay, these are going to be going down the side right here. Okay, because there's a slit right here, we can use one bolt, slide it in there, get the location we want. Okay, that's in there. Also an 8mm again. Put these two down in there. And then we are going to snug these up nice and tight. We have this brake line. It's probably going to run roughly like this underneath, because your headlight's going to be right in the way up here, and this way it gives it the least amount of bend on the line itself. You could run it up and over if you wanted to. The only problem with that, clearly it's really good for the line, but don't look that good. So we're going to try to run this one under. Now I can put the headlight on. Before you put on your headlight, you're going to want to snug your turn signals down. I'm just going to use a crescent wrench and get them about the angle so they're even, and then I'll snug that nut down. You need to pull out your bolts. They are 5mm for the headlight housing, and you need to save them for install. Remember, this will all go around. As you can see, you've got one plug for your headlight, and then you've got 4 screws, screw, washer, and rubber part. And first things first, you are going to find your connector for your headlight. You are going to hook it up like this, and then you are going to cover as best you can all these connections. This is the area that you don't want getting wet for sure. So tuck it up in there as best you can. Then, Okay, now you're going to take this ball, it's going to sit right back in here. You shove it back there a little bit, move your hose out of the way, and get this in place. Just got to move it around until you find the hole. There it is. Alright, do the same on the other side. Now the front top of the bike is done. Handlebar sturdy because I tightened these. This is in there. 2 screws right there. This is on. As you can see, I have the brake hose running down in front, down and around. I can always pull this out or in to give some slack if I need to. But the top's done. Before we do any more, we'll get these guys on. And they take the 4 6mm screws that are a little bit longer, and these are the rear foot pegs. So we'll come over here, grab our foot pegs, and next up we're going to have to shift the bike from the ground over to the jack. I don't have one of those cool jacks that I can slide up under there. I've got to use this one. This is all we have here at the store. So what you need to do is remove the the travel nut. I don't know what else to call that, but that's not the one you'll use on reassembly. And then you have to tap this out. Okay. Before you do that, you'll take this tire, make sure it's up out of the groove, lift off the side. And that's one reason why we do the handlebars first, so we can pick the bike up once that thing comes off and set it on here. This can be done with one person. If you have a buddy or a family member around, highly recommend using the same person. This is a 300-pound bike, so it's not light, but it can be done with one guy. Axle out. Okay. Now the bike's resting on nothing but the forks, rear tire. Your only thing you can do is we're going to slide this . Okay. If you get it high enough, you're going to use your jack to get your blower bolt for your shock in place. So let's get it up some more. It's got to go up pretty high to drop that tire down far enough. Okay, the shock just cleared. Here's the bolt we're going to use for our shock. As you can see, it's now got some wiggle room. Okay, and then we're going to lower it back down on right so it hits the bolt hole just perfect. Through the bolt through the hole. Now I can put on my shock nut and snug. Next up, you're going to want to put this panel on. As you can see, it's got 2 5mm bolts with a washer and the rubber behind it, so that's good to go. You're going to want to find the third bolt for each side, which is down here. Grab a washer, throw it on there, and set them aside. And that's going to be on the bottom one. The bottom one's going to use this rod that, as you see here, see how it's going to connect between both of them? And then you're going to put that bolt through. This is a threaded hole right here, but still put a washer on the other side. We've got 2 washers right here. Here's an extra one right there. But there's enough washers that these are meant to be back there, so make sure you do that. These bolted on really nice and easy. Pretty straightforward. Now we're going to get this going together. I want everybody to kind of watch. Okay, you kind of snake this above. And it's going to push out a little bit on both of these fenders. That's why you got to bolt these top ones in before you do it. These go together pretty nicely too. Not too difficult here. Next up, before we put on the fender, we're going to need to put on the fender mounting bracket. The fender will touch everything up here if it does not have the space shown right here. But this brings us to our first complaint right now of this assembly, is the welding quality on this thing right here. These holes are not straight. We've got one good one, this one right here. The tube was welded flush. These other 2, I don't know if you can see, but there are definitely a gap, and that big gap on that one, but it just means the tubes are not straight. So I'm going to have to, ideally, if you've got a shop, if you can cut these and weld them proper, that would be the best. Otherwise I'm going to have to bend them just a smidge, just to get them to line up. As you can see, that one looking straight down is going to be kind of tight. This is probably going to be one of those things where you get them, the screws in there very loose, and you just crank them tight to bend it to where it needs to be. It looks like we've got the bolts right here, these 2, and this one. This one has a small head, a short head, and you will need the space on this one, because this one, the head of this one will be between right here. You see that? It'll be between this black piece and the plastic of the red fender. These 2 will go through the fender into this, so it won't be a space issue on this one, but it will be on this one. That's why this one is the small head, or the flat head design. When you pull out these 2 bolts right here, they're very small. These are not the ones to reuse. They're just there holding that bracket in. See how you have the rubber facing up? Keep the vibrations low, and then you bolt this into this bracket. On this one, you got to bolt these front 2 bolts. These front 2 bolts go through all 3 at the same time. I don't know if you can see that. And then the back 2 just go in to these by themselves. So what needs to happen is you need to bolt this back one in first, get it started, then hold it there, and then get these up here, and then do the front ones together. This is actually one of the hardest parts of this whole build, is getting this stupid thing in. Doesn't help when your bracket's bent, but and part of the problem is you got to have a crescent wrench or a perfect size wrench to tweak this from the side, coming at it from the side like this, to get in there to tighten this, because this can't be fully tightened until these are in. But once these are in, there ain't a whole lot of space left. So we'll see what happens. This is what we're looking at now. I've got them loose in there. See how what I was talking about, minimal space? So I gotta keep this loose while I crescent wrench or ratcheting box wrench, tighten up that one snug. Then, see how off that welding job was terrible on these little tubes. But it's gonna be bent back into place while I tighten those. Somewhere, you only need 2 of them. Right up here. They're like just too short enough to catch. So you might need to find or source your own bolts. I'm gonna have to go through the car bolts pile and find 2 to fit, because those are just a smidge too short guys on there. And it's firm, ain't going nowhere. Next up, we're able to do the wheel. Start off and take your supplied spacer right here, and it's gonna go on brake caliper side. You need to grease your axle so it doesn't slide smoothly. This is a part, every time you take it out, you grease it again. Once your axle is greased, you're ready to slide your bike over here. I have not put on the brake caliper yet. We are going to do that second. And keep in mind how your routing goes. It comes in front. Okay? Slide this on first. Alright, and then it hits on that little hook. You'll understand what I mean when you do it, if you don't know. But then you gotta slide this through everything. Make sure that spacer, line it up as best you can. Make sure that spacer stays in place though. There we go. Good. Now we're going to use the supplied axle nut. Alright, these big 2 bolts that were down here in the corner on our bolt pad are the caliper bolts. Thread directly into the caliper like this. Alright. So they're not going to use a nut or anything. I'm going in on the back side. Alright. You need to pull your tab, holding the brake spread. Then slide it through and get those in, and they should be just the right length. These are good to go. They're different than, it's already flexing it. Okay, this side fits. As you can see here, I just finished up the front of the bike. I got all these the front covers in their grooves. I got them in their holders, bolted down. This one can get the whole grommet in there. And that front is complete. Everything's solid, everything's tight. Nothing's gonna rattle, or at least it shouldn't. Now it's right here. This is gonna be what you need for the kickstand to bolt it in. So we will grab our kickstand, and as you can see, our pile's getting smaller, but it is going to sit right like that. Alright, we're going to give it a bolt through, and it does screw in. There's a threaded side on this side, so you just get it all the way through. It should be coming through. I'm going to take my one supplied lock washer that they have. I'm going to put it over there, and I am going to tighten that up. There it is. Tighten this up. You can see we got the nut and a lock washer on the back of kickstand. Kickstand only goes in one way. Can't really mess that up. It's kind of obvious. Now the spring is rather difficult for a lot of people at home. You're gonna have to find leverage somehow, whether it be a pry bar. I don't know how professional shops do it. Here I'm just using a wrench and my body weight. What we're going to do next is get this rack on. After the rack, we'll tighten up these lights. Alright, so I got 4 similar bolts left. I got a washer on each one of them. The back 2, real simple. They screw in just like that. They fit. The front 2, as you can see, there's a hole there, and a hole here. The front 2 are going to be kind of a press to fit because they don't line up just right. This one right here is actually perfect. Notice how they're not flush. See how the angle right there is not flush, so they do need to be bent. They'll be straightened out once you tighten them down. This one's off a little bit, so that one. The secret to getting these that are loose, get each bolt in there loosely, very loosely, and then start tightening them so they get down there. So take a watch. It's going to come up, I'm going to put a washer on it, and then a nut on top. The reason why it has to come up is because if you put this down over it, the way the holes are drilled, there's just not enough space to get a nut on there. I suppose if you want. Alright, we were able to get it up and through there, and then like as I said before, we just tighten them down here, tighten down here. This is nice and sturdy now, it ain't going nowhere. Now we're able to do our rear tail lights. I have already started this one, and as you can see, there's a nut right here that's over the wire. And you slide this in and tighten on the nut. Get your wrench up in there, and you just, this one's a little bit too small. 13's too small. Must be a 14 or 15. And then tighten those down, and you're good with the back. All right. Now you got your shifter. Very easy. One side's threaded, one side's not. It goes in to the side that's threaded or not threaded, and it will tighten on the other side. Okay. Make sure when you tighten this down, the bolt is where the groove is. Otherwise, you're going to damage all this stuff. And replacing that shaft is a lot of work. So depending on your foot height, you might need to experiment with this. But you know, roughly somewhere forward, maybe a smidge down, where you're going to want it. There we go. One of the last things for you to do is to put Brozz is fully assembled. At this point, you can take off all the plastic covering that you see. I think I already took it off here. There's definitely some on the headlight, some on the taillight, some on these side markers. Taillight, I don't know if this was covered or not, but it might have been. The seat, just pull it out. Should be able to come pretty easily. Now if it doesn't come, what you're going to have to do is remove the seat. How you remove the seat is there's 2 Allen screws right here that hold down this whole rear fender. Pull that down. There'll be 2 screws underneath that hold the seat, and then the seat has a hook in front. Once those 2 screws are removed, slide it back and it's out. Alright, but right now we'll get this out. It looks like I might have to... Oh, it came out nice. And rubber band came out. Alright, so it came out nicely. This thing is just rubber for your legs. You could keep it on there, I suppose, but looks kind of bad. I think it's mostly for shipping. All you gotta do is lift the seat a smidge. There we go. As you can see, it's just a piece of leather. It had 1 staple in it, 2 staples, but once you crack those, it comes right out. Only things left over here are the owner's manual, the toolkit, the battery, and the keys. Let's check out the keys. Our pocket. As you see here, we've got 2 keys. They very easily sit in. There is a steering lock that the battery goes in right behind this right here. As you can see, the tray looks to be already a battery in there. It probably, yes, that battery only needs fluid. So here's your fluid. So you gotta pull the battery out. Pull the battery out, add your fluid, put it back in. As you can see, the cables for the batteries are already in there. It's very easy to take out. All you do is 1 screw right here, and then there's a tab up there, a rubber tab where it pops through. So pull this out, and then you'll pull it down, and this whole 2 pieces will come out, and then you'll see the battery tray. There's, if I remember right, 2 or 3 screws for the battery tray. And that's pretty self-explanatory. If you made it this far, you can probably figure out the battery. So this is Jeff with Peace Sports. This is going to be my demo unit, actually. So if you are a dealer who's potentially interested in getting one, shoot me a message and I'll try to bring it by you. You can ride it and see if you want to buy some. But yeah, I hope a lot of people like them. I think they're pretty good. I ordered the ones that the internet wanted, and as you can see, I assembled this in, I assembled it in a period of over 3 days, but if I wasn't filming, definitely just an afternoon, a couple hours, 3 hours maybe, and it would be good to go. Now you still got to change your oil, put in your good motorcycle oil. This thing is ready to fire up, battery connected and gas in it, and it is ready to go. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you dislike them. Just leave a comment, and I'll try to make changes for the next batch we get. This one right here is a late 2018. I believe it was assembled in August. We received them in late September. So the ones I have right now are 2018s. But it's 2019 now, but I wouldn't worry about it. The Chinese game in power sports does not go by year. It goes by whatever the purchaser wants to purchase. If he wants good stuff, he gets good stuff. If he doesn't want good stuff, he doesn't get good stuff. I know some people were upset that when we first got the Brozz back in 18, they were the exact same model as 14. It's true, they were. Exact same. The only thing they did had updated VIN numbers because they were 2018s. They were the exact same. And now, per the requests of the internet, we built this one. Changed the forks, added the highly coveted rear disc brake, and we added the rack, and hopefully now this thing will be a good seller for us, and it'll be reliable for the end user. Thanks for watching. Let me know if there's questions.